In a rapidly developing situation that has drawn global attention, the United States military has confirmed lethal strikes on vessels in the Pacific Ocean, resulting in multiple deaths. These operations, described by U.S. officials as targeting so-called narco-terrorists, have been linked to escalated security actions near Venezuela. As tensions rise, the international community is watching closely, with the United Nations stepping in to urge restraint and diplomacy. Tonight, we break down what happened, why it matters, and how this latest development could reshape regional stability in the Americas. According to U.S. military statements, American forces conducted targeted operations against vessels operating in the Pacific Ocean. These vessels were allegedly involved in large-scale narcotics trafficking and were classified as threats to regional security. The strikes resulted in the deaths of several individuals on board. U.S. officials framed the action as part of a broader counter-narcotics and security mission, emphasizing that such operations are designed to disrupt criminal networks that traffic drugs, weapons, and illicit funds across borders. These networks, officials say, not only fuel organized crime, but also undermine governance and stability across the region. However, what has elevated this incident beyond a routine security operation is its proximity to Venezuela and the broader geopolitical context surrounding U.S.-Venezuela relations. Venezuela has long been at the center of regional tension, facing political instability, economic crisis, and strained relations with Washington. The U.S. government has repeatedly accused elements linked to Venezuela of facilitating drug trafficking routes, claims that Caracas strongly denies. The recent U.S. strikes, though carried out in the Pacific, are being viewed through this larger lens. Analysts suggest that the operations signal a more assertive U.S. posture toward security threats allegedly connected to or operating near Venezuelan territory. From Venezuela's perspective, such actions raise concerns about sovereignty and regional militarization. Even indirect association with U.S. military operations heightens diplomatic sensitivity and risks miscalculation. The global response was swift. United Nations Secretary-General António Guterres publicly called for restraint, urging both the United States and Venezuela to avoid steps that could further escalate tensions. In his statement, Guterres emphasized the importance of dialogue, diplomacy, and adherence to international law. The UN's involvement highlights the seriousness of the situation. When military actions intersect with long-standing political disputes, the risk of unintended escalation increases. History has shown that even limited strikes can spiral into broader confrontations if communication channels break down. Guterres' message was clear. Security concerns must be addressed, but not at the cost of regional peace. To understand why these strikes are happening now, it's important to look at the broader strategic environment. The United States has increasingly framed drug trafficking as a national and hemispheric security threat, not just a criminal issue. Narco networks today operate with advanced technology, heavily armed groups, and transnational reach. By labeling certain groups as narco-terrorists, U.S. policymakers signal a willingness to use military tools, not just law enforcement, to counter these threats. Supporters argue this approach disrupts powerful networks. Critics warn it blurs the line between policing and warfare. The timing also reflects heightened geopolitical competition in the region, where influence, alliances, and control over trade routes matter more than ever. While U.S. officials insist the strikes were precise and necessary, experts warn of several risks. Diplomatic fallout. Venezuela could interpret these actions as indirect aggression, hardening its stance against Washington. Regional instability. Neighboring countries may feel pressure to take sides or increase military readiness. Misinterpretation. Intense environments, limited operations can be misunderstood, leading to rapid escalation. This is precisely why the UN and other international actors are emphasizing restraint and communication. Back home, the strikes have sparked debate. Supporters argue that decisive action against drug-linked groups protects American communities and sends a strong deterrent message. They see the operations as justified, targeted, and long overdue. Critics, however, question the lack of transparency, and warn against expanding military engagement without clear congressional oversight. Some fear a repeat of past interventions that began as limited actions but grew into prolonged conflicts. This debate reflects a deeper question in U.S. foreign policy. How far should military power be used to address non-traditional security threats? The implications of this incident extend beyond just the U.S. and Venezuela. Latin American nations have long struggled with the spillover effects of drug trafficking, including violence, corruption, and economic instability. Many governments cooperate with the United States on counter-narcotics efforts, but they are also wary of militarization. Countries in the region fear that escalating tensions could disrupt trade, increase refugee flows, and undermine regional cooperation. This is why several regional leaders have echoed the UN's call for restraint, emphasizing peaceful solutions over force. On a global stage, major powers are closely monitoring developments. Any escalation involving the United States and Venezuela could draw reactions from countries with strategic interests in the region. Energy markets, shipping routes, and political alliances could all be affected. This incident also raises broader questions about how international law is applied in counter-narcotics operations conducted beyond national borders. Legal experts argue that transparency and multilateral cooperation are essential to maintaining global norms. This story matters because it highlights a turning point in how security threats are addressed in the modern world. It blurs the line between crime and conflict, between law enforcement and military action. It also shows how regional issues can quickly become global concerns when major powers are involved. Most importantly, it underscores the fragile balance between maintaining security and preserving peace. As the dust settles from these U.S. military strikes in the Pacific, the world waits to see what comes next. Will diplomacy prevail, or will tensions continue to rise? The United Nations call for restraint serves as a reminder that even in the face of serious security threats, dialogue remains the most powerful tool. How the United States and Venezuela choose to move forward could shape regional stability for months or even years to come. For now, all eyes remain on Washington, Caracas, and the international community as they navigate this critical moment.